こんにちは、ジャパニーズアンモのミサです。Hey guys! Today I want to teach you the lyrics of the song called Zen-zen-zense. In English, it's translated as past, past, past life or previous, previous, previous life. And it's a song from a great film called Kimi no nawa, Your Name. And I love the movie so much, and also I really like the song. And I think a lot of you guys also listened to it and really liked it. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, go listen to the song first, and I'm sure you will like it. And also if you haven't seen the film, please check it out. It's so beautiful and great. おすすめです。Before we start, please know that I'm not good at singing. 歌が下手です。So bear with me. I'm not a professional singer or anything. I'm just trying to teach the lyrics. So please go easy on me. Okay, so the first line starts like this. やっと目を覚ましたかい. So the first word is やっと, which means finally, and it's really common, so you should remember. After a long flight, I always say やっと着いた, finally arrived. Or if someone was late and you want to say finally, you also can say やっと来た, finally came. And then 目を覚ました. 目 means eyes, and 覚ました is in the past tense, but the plain form is 覚ます, and 目を覚ます means to wake or to wake up. A lot of people know the verb to wake up as 起きる. The difference between them is kind of like 起きる is more like to get up, whilst 目を覚ます is when you come out of sleeping. So when you actually wake up, when your eyes open. And yeah, a lot of people use the verb 起きる instead of 目を覚ます. But there is actually a very common word that comes from this 目を覚ます, which is 目覚まし時計. Really long, but 目覚まし comes from 目を覚ます. 時計 is from the word 時計, which means clock, and it means alarm clock. We do say alarm, especially when using smartphones. It says alarm instead of 目覚まし時計. But the traditional alarm clock that goes ring, 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 that is called 目覚まし時計. And at the end, 目を覚ましたかい. This is barely ever used. In songs, it's often used because it sounds cool, but in real life, maybe only old people use it. This kai basically is the same as the ka particle, the question marker. So we normally use this ka after des or mas in formal speech. 元気ですか? アメリカ人ですか? That sort of ka. And in informal speech, we don't use the ka particle at the end. There is some exception, but normally we don't say 元気か? We normally just say 元気, unless if you watch anime, a male character might say 元気か to make it sound rough. But in real life, we don't really talk like that. And in anime, you might also hear this kai at the end instead of ka. So instead of 元気, they might say 元気かい? A character that would talk like 元気かい is basically usually a really rich boy, maybe kinda snobby, that sort of character. They would say 元気かい or 大丈夫かい? But in real life, don't say it unless you're maybe like 80 years old, 70 years old. Anyway, in songs it sounds cool. So, やっと目を覚ましたかい? やっと目を覚ましたかい? And then the next line. それなのになぜ目を合わせやしないんだい? But more slowly, it's それなのになぜ目を合わせやしないんだい? Okay, so それ is that, and this なのに is often translated as despite So それなのに despite that, so despite the fact that you're awake, this のに is actually really, really common. It's kind of like けど, but although. But it shows frustration and sometimes feeling betrayed, then you say のに. So, for example, 高かったのにすぐ壊れた. Though it was expensive, it broke immediately. 高かったのにすぐ壊れた. Or 手伝ってあげたのに睨まれた. So, それなのになぜ? なぜ is the same as なんで or どうして. So, normally we use the word どうして. なんで and どうして are normally used in the normal speech in Japanese as why. なんで is more casual than どうして, but どうして is still used in both formal and informal speech. And なぜ is very formal. Not just formal, but it sounds like you're writing an essay. But again, songs tend to sound cool and more poetic, so they use cooler, bigger words. なぜ so why. どうして目を合わせやしない. So 目 is the same 目, eyes, and 目を合わせる means your eyes meet someone else's eyes. We also can say 目が合う. If you say 目が合う, it sounds like your eyes meet unintentionally or not on purpose. But if you say 目を合わせる, you're doing it intentionally. So 目を合わせやしない. You just want to say, why don't you meet eyes with me? You can just say, どうして or if you want to sound more formal, then なぜ but どうして目を合わせない So you just negate the 目を合わせる into 目を合わせない But it says 目を合わせやしない This 合わせやしない actually comes from 合わせはしない And this 合わせ is the stem of the mass form, so they like 食べ or 行き or 書き 話 and if you put は or やしない this is kind of advanced grammar, but if you say 食べやしない for example, it means he doesn't even eat or eating. As for eating, he doesn't do it, and it kind of has a nuance of he doesn't even eat or he should eat, but he doesn't. It usually has a negative connotation. If you're on hikikomori, someone who never gets out of the house or room, your mom might think, 私の子供は部屋を出やしない。で comes from 出る to leave, come out. 部屋を出やしない。Doesn't even come out the room. It should come out, but he doesn't. And 目を合わせやしない。んだい。んだい。This ん after the plain form of the verb or the conjugated version, so informal past tense or informal negation, and then you put then that's when you want or demand explanation from someone or when you explain something. But this だい is kind of like kai that I explained. We don't really use it in real life. しないんだい is basically the same as しないの. This is how we normally say. So this no at the end is also the explanatory tone thingy. When you want explanation, why do you do such a thing? We often put the no at the end, especially when you use the word どうして なんで why we put the no at the end. I will make a lesson about this, but for example, your friend seems to be kind of pissed off, and I don't know why, but he seems to. Then I would say, 怒ってるの? Are you angry? Tell me why. Or another example, どうして行かないの? Why will you not go? And I want you to explain. どうして行かないの? Anyway, the second line was, それなのになぜ目を合わせやしないんだい? Why don't you meet eyes with me? And the next line, 遅いよと怒る君. So, 遅い means late. So 遅いよ. And your particle is when you tell someone something new, or when you want the attention from the listener, or when you want the listener to really understand what I'm saying. So 遅いよ. It's like, you're late. Do you know that? You're late. It kind of sounds like you're angry. 遅いよ. Or if someone is really loud, I would say うるさいよ. うるさいよ. うるさい on its own is fine. Like, shut up, or you're being noisy. うるさい. But if I say うるさいよ, it's like, don't you realize that you're kind of being loud? So, 遅いよと. And this to particle, I made a lesson about how to use the verb you to say, and you should watch that lesson if you haven't. But basically, this to particle is not the same particle as the to particle that you probably know as and. So if you say Misa to minna, then that means Misa and everyone. But the to particle can act like a quotation mark. So 遅いよ is someone's speech. So a girl is saying you're late in this one. 遅いよ to and 怒る. 怒る is to get mad, get angry. So the girl is getting angry, saying 遅いよ. And Kimi means you. I've talked about this, but in Japanese, we normally don't use the word you. So we have several ways to say you in Japanese if you look up in a dictionary. One is Anata, probably this one is the most famous one. And you have to be careful when you use this Anata. If you're not talking to specific persons, so like I'm kind of talking to you guys, everyone, then Anata is not so rude. But if you're talking to someone, especially if you know the person's name already, don't call the person Anata because that's rude. If my friend called me Anata, that's so rude, and I would be like, why are you doing that? And if someone older than me calls me Anata, I don't like it, but I have to accept it because I'm younger. And in Japan, we have this strict hierarchy system, so you have to respect the elders. But if you call someone older than you Anata, so if I'm calling my boss Anata, I would probably get fired. You should normally use the person's name. So if I know your name, I would call you by your name. So instead of the word you, I would have to say 田中さんは忙しいですね. You are busy, aren't you, 田中さん? If you don't know the person's name, you'd get the attention by saying すみません, excuse me. Or if you're a worker and you have to call a customer, you'd say お客様. お客様. So there is some way around to say you. But sometimes you don't even know the person's name and you're not a worker and the listener is not a customer. Then you just have to not use the word anata. You might think, how can you talk without the word you? But imagine if a foreigner talks, if I say busy tonight, you'd still understand that I'm talking to you. So instead of are you busy tonight, I can just say busy tonight. Or like dogs, you know that I mean do you like dogs? And if I say alright, you know that I mean are you alright or is everything alright? And this word Kimi could be used in real life. Your boss might call you Kimi, it depends on the company, but some bosses would call you by your last name plus kun. So like if your surname is Suzuki, then they might call you Suzuki-kun, but they might call you Kimi, especially if the company is super huge and the CEO might not know every single employee. The CEO might call you Kimi because he doesn't know your name. But in songs, it sounds romantic. If you're writing a poem or song, using the word Kimi is fine. And again, you will hear this word Kimi in anime, but in real life, try not to use it. Again, if my friend calls me Kimi, I'll be like, what's your problem? Unless my friend jokingly calls me Kimi. It's like, maybe you're trying to sound like my boss, or just being weird. So, 遅いよと怒る君. So normally we put the subject at the beginning, but in song, this sort of weird word order can happen. 遅いよと you're late. 怒る angry. 君 you. So you are scolding me that I'm late. And the next line. これでもやれるだけ飛ばしてきたんだよ. So, これでも, if you know some Japanese, you might translate like this, but it's actually a set phrase, これでも, which means it may not seem like it, or you might not believe it, or in my way. So if I say これでも幸せです, then that means it may not seem like I'm happy, but I am. Or you might not believe that I'm happy, judging by my looks or my expression, but I'm happy. Or if I say これでもすごく頑張った, then it may not seem like I did my best, but I did. It's quite a common one, so it's good to remember. これでも. Once my friend introduced me to her boyfriend. She was telling her boyfriend, pointing at me, これでもミサは頭いいんだよ. You might not believe by looking at her, but she's actually smart. And I was like, okay, thanks. Or if you look really young but actually old, you'd say, これでも50歳です. I'm actually 50 years old. You might not believe it, but I'm actually 50 years old. And これでもやれるだけ. Yareru is the potential form, can form of yaru, which kind of is the same as suru, to do. And yareru dake means only. But if you put the potential form and dake, it means as much as possible. And yareru dake is common, but more commonly you probably will hear dekiru dake or dekiru kagiri, or as much as possible. So if I say できるだけ早く来て, then that means please come ASAP, as soon as possible. Or できるだけたくさん食べた, i.e. as much as possible. And then 飛ばしてきた. This 飛ばしてきた comes from two verbs, 飛ばす and 来る, to come. But 飛ばす means to skip or to rush. Like 急ぐ, really hurry up. 飛ばした. This verb can be also used as to skip through, like ページを飛ばした. Like when watching anime, you always have to watch the same opening, right? I usually skip the opening and I can say オープニングを飛ばす. But 飛ばしてきた. This て form plus 来る is often used when you want to show where it's going or coming in this case. So 飛ばしてきた. So obviously the guy who's singing is telling the girl that I rushed to come to you. So I rushed towards you. So 飛ばしてきたんだよ. So this is the same that I kind of explained. It's when you explain things. So the girl is kind of angry. You're late, 遅いよ. So the guy is trying to explain himself, but I rushed here as fast as I could. So remember I said, 怒ってるの? Are you angry? Tell me why. And I could say, うるさいんだよ. It sounds quite harsh because obviously I make it sound like I'm angry, but うるさいんだよ. It's like I'm explaining that you are really being loud. If you don't want to hurt the person's feeling, don't really say うるさいんだよ. But remember, because the explanatory tone, if the person didn't ask why I seem angry, I would just say うるさいよ to mean you're loud or shut up. Otherwise, saying うるさいんだよ to someone who didn't even ask why I'm angry is a bit weird. Because like, why am I explaining? I would just tell the person that person is loud. Yeah, so これでもやれるだけ飛ばしてきたんだよ. And the next line. 心が体を追い越してきたんだよ. 心 means your mind or spirit or heart. As a shape, we say heart, and as an organ, we say 心臓, like when it hurts. But 心 is more like mind. When Japanese people say 心, that's like where the feelings are. Because 心 can mean mind and heart. When I was a kid, I used to think that this is where you get the feelings from, not the brain. And then 心が karada means body. So that's why 体を追い越してきた. So 追い越す means to pass or to overtake or to get ahead of something. So if you're in a race, if you 追い越す, that's good because you get ahead of someone else. So 心が体を追い越してきた came. I'm saying that my heart arrived here, came here before my body did. My feelings, my mind was already there before I arrived. The next line. 君の髪や瞳だけで胸が痛いよ。君の髪や瞳だけで胸が痛いよ。Remember, 君 means you, but if you say 君の, then that means your. It's like if I say ミサの, then that means ミサ's or my, right? 君の髪 means hair. Yeah is kind of like と and, but when we list multiple things and we want to also imply that there is more, so it's like and, so on. We use this ya in formal speech. In informal speech, we normally use the word toka. So I've been to many countries. I would list using toka. So like カナダとかイギリスとかポルトガルとかフランスとかドイツとかオーストリアとか blah blah blah. And formally, I'd say カナダやイギリスや anyway, 君の髪や瞳 is just more romantic way than 目 Also, Hitomi is a common girl's name. 髪や瞳だけ only で So the particle can mean by using. Like by your hair and your eyes. 胸 chest が痛い hurts. My chest aches just thinking about your hair and your eyes. The next line. 同じ時を吸い込んで話したくないよ. So 同じ the same 時 means time. But when you talk normally, 時 usually means when. So if I say 子供の時, you'd translate like when I was a child. And if you're talking about time, like you don't have time, you'd say 時間 not 時 because 時 would sound more formal. So 時間がない it's like I don't have time. We don't say 時がない. It sounds like Gandalf talking or something. It kind of sounds magical for some reason. But 同じ時 can mean at the same time. So 同じ時を吸い込んで 吸う means to suck or to smoke, like タバコを吸う. But 吸い込む is to suck in, like that's 吸い込む. You know, Kirby always 吸い込んでる. So 同じ時を吸い込んで of course it's metaphor, but you breathe in the same time, you suck in the same time as the girl you like. And 話したくないよ. So the interesting is 話す, the verb, can mean two things. One is to speak, to talk, but in another kanji it means to let go. So the te form of 話す is 話して, right? And then te form is like a request form. So 話して means speak or talk to me, like as a request. But 話して can also mean let me go, let go of me. So obviously, if you're holding someone and the girl is like 話してよ! She doesn't want you to talk, but she wants you to let her go. And 話したい again can mean want to talk or want to let go. But 話したくない I don't want to let her go or I don't want to talk. But in this case, it means I don't want to let you go. So 同じ時を吸い込んで want to breathe in the same time. Kind of like I want to live in the same time as you and not let you go. Because this film is all about that. Okay, the next line. 遥か昔から知るその声に遥か昔から If you wanna just say since long time ago, we normally just say 昔から, but はるか昔 sounds again poetic and nice. In folk tales, we start the story by saying 昔昔 once upon a time. But yeah, 昔から since long time ago. 知るその声に知る in normal speech, this should actually be 知ってる知ってる. So 知ってる means I know, you know, he knows. So normally when you're talking, you want to say この映画知ってる? Do you know this film? Have you heard of this film? This 知ってる is not the plain form. It's not the original form. The original form is this 知る. But if you say 知る, it doesn't really make sense in the normal speech. 知る means more like to find out. But again, this is a song. You want to sound poetic. You can say 知る as to know in songs. So, はるか昔から知る or 知ってる know. その声 その is that near you. And 声 means voice. So, その声 your voice. に to. So, to the voice that I've known since long time ago. And the next line. 生まれて初めて何を言えばいい。生まれて comes from the verb 生まれる to be born. 生まれて初めて初めて means first time, for the first time. So if you say 初めて寿司を食べた, then I ate sushi for the first time. And if you want to say for the first time in my life, you can say 生まれて初めて寿司を食べた for the first time since I was born. 生まれて初めて. And then 何を言えばいい. So 何 what? 言えば this is the conjugated form of you to say, and this えば means if. So 言えば means if I say, but 言えばいい this えばいい means like should or supposed to do. So 何を言えばいい means what am I supposed to say or what should I say? This えばいい, if you are already kind of advanced, you might know the form たら, which also means if, and it's the same as たらい should. So if you want to say what should I do? You can say 何をすればいい何をすればいい So 何を言えばいい What should I say? So what should I say for the first time in my life? And it connects to the previous sentence. To the voice that I've known since long time ago. And here comes the main part. Probably the one that you've heard. 君の全然前世から僕は君を探し始めたよ So, 君の your Zen-zen-zense. This is the title of this song. But zense means previous life. In Japan, a lot of people think about what you were in the previous life. And a lot of people find it romantic to think that you met your soulmate. So if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, Japanese people like to think that you met the exact same person in the previous life too. So of course you'd have looked different, but Japanese people generally like the idea of reincarnation. So Zen-zen-zense. So Zen means previous. This kanji means before. So you might recognize the word mae. And yeah, the kunyomi, the Japanese reading is mae, and the onyomi Chinese reading is zen. So zen-se is previous life, but zen-zen-zense, so previous, like past life. Kimi no zen-zen-zense kara. So kara means since or from, so since your past life. Boku wa. So boku means I. So most people know the word watashi, and also, just like the word Anata, we don't really say the word I in Japanese. If you say this too much, you sound like you just love yourself. You only want to talk about yourself. So we normally omit the word I, but we have lots of words for I. So watashi is the standard one that you want to use when speaking formally. But we've also got boku and ore. And if you have a Japanese teacher who is older than you, the teacher probably tells you to use boku because boku sounds very soft and teachers for some reason like it. But in reality, at least in Kanto, Tokyo area, using the word boku can sound like your mommy's boy and you're really young boy who doesn't know how to fight. Well, you shouldn't know how to fight, but it's like you sound very weak and soft. And older people like the fact that you're weaker than you. Again, it's about the age system, the hierarchy system in Japan. But if you're talking to your friends, don't worry about using the word ore because a lot of teachers tell that it's rough. But every single guy I met, including my grandpa even, who is very nice and not rough at all, he's like the most kind person, still uses ore. So unless you're talking to someone older than you, don't worry, you can use ore. Anyway, in songs, you might hear some songs using ore, but normally songs tend to use boku because that sounds more cute. So, 君の全然前世から僕は and then again, 君を探し始めたよ. So, 君を again, you 探し始めた. 探す means to search, to look for. It's 探し, the same stem of the mass form. So you change u into i, 探す, 探し. And then if you put the word 始める, then that's how we do start doing something. Remember, you can't say like 探す, 始める. You have to conjugate the verb in front of 始める into like the half mass form. So like if it's 書く, then you say 書き始める to start writing. If you want to say to start drinking, you say 飲み始める no 飲む始める. So 探し始めたよ. I started looking for you, searching for you. Again, if you see the film, you will understand the meaning of these lyrics. From your past life, I started looking for you. And the next line. その不吉祥な笑い方をめがけてやってきたんだよ. So その that, or more like your, 不吉祥な means awkward or clumsy. Most of the time people would call someone who can't sew or make things with your fingers, like you can't really make origami well, then you're 不吉祥. But if you say 不吉祥な笑顔 means smile, 不吉祥な笑顔, then that's awkward smile, like But here it said 不吉祥な笑い方. 笑い方 is the way of smiling or how to smile. 笑う is the verb to laugh, smile. And again, it's the stem of the mass form, 笑い. And then kata means how to. So if you want to say how to do something, you put the stem of the mass form, so that half mass form, and put kata. So iki kata means how to get somewhere. Nomi kata, how to drink. Tsukai kata, how to use. So 不吉祥な笑い方をめがけて megakete means aim. If you throw an egg at someone and the person obviously aimed at you, you'd say あの男は私をめがけて卵を投げた. So めがける to aim. Also when you run aiming at something, when you run towards the goal, you can also say めがける. ゴールめがけて. But here, その不吉祥な笑い方めがけて towards your awkward smile やってきた やってきた basically means 来た and the next line 君が全然全部なくなって君 you が全然 here it rhymes with the first 全然zense here 全然 means not at all. If I said 全然悪くない then that means not bad at all. But yeah, 全然全部 means everything. なくなって なくなる means to be lost or to be gone. So when you completely disappear, 君が全然全部なくなってチリチリになったってチリチリになる means to be torn into pieces. And this なったって is kind of like なっても even if you become. So even if you disappear completely from this world and you're torn into pieces, 君が全然全部なくなってチリチリになったって And the next line もう迷わない So もう means already but if you use with negation means anymore 迷う means to be lost but also can mean cannot decide or cannot make up your mind. If you're at the restaurant and can't decide what to have, you say, 迷う, I can't decide. So in this song, it could mean I won't be lost anymore, or I won't be indecisive anymore. I will be able to decide, make up my mind, or I won't hesitate. もう迷わない、また一から探し始めるさ。So, もう迷わない、I won't be lost anymore. また、again, 一から、一 means one, and から means from, and one is the beginning, the start, right? So it's kind of like from the start, or from the beginning. 一から探し始める. Again, this 始める means start, right? And 探す to search. So, I will start looking for you again from the beginning. むしろゼロからまた宇宙を始めてみようか。So むしろ is like or rather ゼロから from zero. また again 宇宙 means space or universe or in a sense it's a world. 宇宙を始めてみようか。So 始める means starts and 始めてみる means try starting. 始めてみようか。よ means let's, but ようか means shall we? So shall we start a world from zero again? So shall we start creating the universe from zero again? むしろゼロからまた宇宙を始めてみようか。And the next. どっから話すかな。どっから comes from どこから from where. But どっから is more informal. どっから話すかな。話すかな。And かな is like I wonder. So it's kind of like I wonder from where I shall start. 君が眠っていた間のストーリー。So 眠っていた。眠る is again a formal way of saying 寝る to sleep. 眠る。So 眠っていた間 means while. So during the time you were asleep. And story. So again connects with the first sentence. From where shall I telling you the story during the time you were asleep? Next. 何億何光年 So 1億 means 100 million. 2億 200 million. But here 何億の means hundreds of millions of. And then 何光年 光年 is light years. So hundreds of millions of light years. So long time basically. And then it actually says 何億何光年分の物語を So 分 means like portion, but it's kind of like 何光年分の物語 So stories that happened in hundreds of millions of light years. So stories of long time. 物語を語りに来たんだよ And 物語 means story, but you can also just say 話 to mean a story. And that's more common. But 物語 sounds like a big story. So 物語を語る a verb for to tell a story. 語りに来た. So I came to tell you a story was hundreds of millions of light years. けどいざその姿この目に映すとけど but this is not so common, but you could say it when you start something. If you want to say it, you'd say it right before you start something. So for some reason, a lot of samurai would say "iza" when they start a fight, like "we'll start" or "iza 出発." But if you say "iza" という時に, it's like when you actually need it, when it's actually important. So, for example, there is some guy that doesn't really help much usually, but he can do some special thing. And when that special occasion comes, he's not there. You say, いざという時にいない. When we need him the most, he's not here. And it says, いざその姿. Sugata means figure, not appearance as in like the look, but more about the person showed up, appeared. その姿, この目, so my eyes, この目に映す, 映す is like to let it reflect. 映すと, and then と after verb means if or when. So when I let you reflect in my eyes, and this Isa is like, right when I wanted to tell you the story, I saw you, and it implies that I can't tell you a story. And the next line says, 君も知らぬ君とじゃれて戯れたいよ. So, 君も知らぬ. 知らぬ, this is an old archaic form of 知らない. So, don't know. So, 君も知らない. 君. So, you who don't even know yourself. 君も知らぬ君と, so with you who you don't even know yourself. じゃれて. じゃれる means to be playful, but this verb is often used about cats. So 猫がじゃれる is like cats want to play and like play around, being around you. And 戯れる, again, it's kind of like to play. They are both not common words. So it's not like 遊ぶ to hang out like in normal way. 戯れる, you don't say 友達と戯れる. But again, it's a song, it's a poem. So じゃれて戯れたいよ. So I want to play with you who you don't even know. And next. 君の消えぬ痛みまで愛してみたいよ. So 君の消えぬitami. So, 消えぬ, again, this nu is just an old way of saying nai. So, 消えない means doesn't disappear. Itami, pain. So, pain that doesn't disappear. Made means until or up to, but also even. So, even the pain that doesn't disappear. And 愛してみたい. 愛する is the verb to love. But 愛してみたい. I won't try loving your pain that doesn't go away. 銀河何個分かの果てに出会えた. 銀河 means galaxy. So 銀河何個. Ko is how we count small things. But 何個分 means worth a few. So worth a few galaxies. And 果て is like far, far edge. Right, the end. 果て. 銀河何個分かの果て. So it's like just saying so far away. 出会えた. 出会う is to meet. So the verb to meet, normally we say 会う, but 出会う sounds like you meet for a reason, like in a romantic way. If you marry someone and you want to talk about how you met your wife or husband, you want to make it sound like it was your fate, then use the word 出会った. 出会えた, that's from the potential form 出会える, so can meet, but 出会えた is the past tense of it, so could meet, was able to meet. その手を壊さず. So その手, your hand, that hand, 壊さず. This one means without breaking. You could also say 壊さないで. So either 壊さず or 壊さないで. The informal negation plus で or instead of ない you put ず. So 行かず、見ず、話さず。その手を壊さずにどう握ったらいい? どう how 握る means to hold or this action 握る and we say 手を握る握ったらいい so how should I hold your hand without breaking it? And it go back to the same line 君の全然前世から僕は君を探し始めたよ and then it goes その騒がしい声と涙をめがけて so 騒がしい is basically うるさい loud 声 so loud voice and 涙 means tears so and めがけて again aiming so towards your loud voice and tears やってきた I came so めがけてやってきたんだよ came and then it goes そんな革命前夜の僕らを革命 means revolution 革命前夜 is like night before so night before the revolution 革命前夜の僕ら so we will start the revolution and night before that revolution 誰が止めると言うんだろう so 誰が who 止める stop という would even say だろう I wonder so I wonder who would even say that they would stop us at the night before our revolution もう迷わない君のハートに旗を立てるよ so もう迷わない again it's the same thing and 君のハートに旗 is a flag and 旗を立てるよ and then 君は僕から諦め方を奪い取ったよ so 君は僕から so from me 諦め方 again verb 方 means how to and 諦める means to give up so how to give up 諦め方 and then 奪い取った so 奪う means to snatch to take something away from someone to steal like 盗む奪い取る 取る means take so you take it away you steal it and take it away 奪い取ったよ so I quite like this line so you took away from me how to give up so basically I can't give up anymore because of you or thanks to you oh it was actually 奪い取ったの so against the explanatory tone I guess he's trying to explain why he keeps doing it, why he wouldn't stop, why he wouldn't give up, because you snatched away how to give up. And then it goes back to the same thing. 全然前世から僕は君を探し始めたよその不吉祥な笑い方をめがけてやってきたんだよ君が全部なくなってじりじりになったってもう迷わないまた一から探し始めるさ And then the last line is kind of different何光年でもこの歌を口ずさみながら So 何光年でも as many light years as it takes no matter how many light years it would take 何光年でもこの歌を this song 口ずさむ is like to hum 口ずさみながらながら is while I do something else then you use nagara so 口ずさみながら while I hum this song for as many years as I need I'll search for you so yeah this song is super romantic and beautiful though there are of course some poetic words that you don't really need to know I think learning words from a song can be fun and effective so I would recommend you to do it. So once you learn this, please go check out their original song, that song that they sing, and try singing along the song. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a thumbs up. And 私は歌が下手だけど頑張りました。So, yeah. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you have some time, please check out my Patreon page. I sometimes do giveaways of manga series and stuff. So, yeah. じゃあまたね。バイバイ。